First of all, thank you for having us. It's great to be here. Great to be back at LOHAS. In September of last year, these two companies, Method and Ecover, came together under one owner. And in so doing, we created a new type of business. It's a business that has two brands, it has one mission, and it has the ownership and the resources committed far into the future to bringing about a bold vision that we have of the role that business can play in achieving a sustainable world. In the process, what we're doing is we're pioneering a new business model. It's a new way for LOHAS type businesses to compete with their bigger competitors. What's really what I want to do with the next 25 minutes or so is share really two things. The first is, why do we bring these two businesses together? And the second is, what do we see as the future of not only the cleaning business, but the consumer products business as a whole? Now, I don't need to explain to anybody in this room the consequences of inaction as it relates to some of the problems that our world faces. And in fact, every person here is here because you believe that business has a role to play in bringing about a better world. Tom and I also believe that business has a role to play, but we take that a step further. We believe that business has an obligation to lead. And what we worry about is less about inaction and more about actually incrementalism. Because what incrementalism can do is it can give us the illusion of progress when what we need is real radical progress. And what we're doing through this new business model is we are pioneering a business model for radical innovation because we believe that radical innovation is both necessary and advantageous for business. But it does require looking at business from the ground up in a very different way, doing business in a very different way, and actually creating a whole business culture that's very different. So, to start with the story of why did we bring these businesses together, I'll start with a little bit of history. So Ecover was the very first green cleaning brand. It was started in Europe in 1979 by Franz Bogarts, and it was born out of a problem that had existed, which was that dishwashing powders were polluting waterways, a phosphate problem that many of you probably know about in this room. And from that passion, Franz Bogarts started this company and pioneered the very first ecological cleaner, which was this dish powder. In the last 30 years, Ecover's been at the vanguard of pioneering sustainable innovations that run from materials to manufacturing processes to whole product systems like refill systems that demonstrate that ecological innovation is not only possible, but it's actually a better way of doing business. From my perspective as the founder of Method, which was born about 13 years ago, not 30 years ago, I started it with that guy up there on the left, Eric Ryan, and we came together because we both had a frustration about the way that business was done. And Eric, coming from a marketing background and being in the advertising world, was looking at the cleaning category and thinking, hey, this category is really kind of boring and it's really toxic and ugly. And meanwhile, I was doing much dorkier things. I was a climate scientist at the time, working on scientific stuff, and believing that maybe business was a better way to create change. And so Eric and I came together and we started to coalesce around a few things that we noticed at the time, and this is in the late 90s. The first was, as I mentioned, the category of cleaning was a sea of sameness, and there was an audience, you could call it the LOHAS consumer, that was very much underserved. There was the rise of health and wellness, of course, and consumer trends were changing. And then thirdly, the idea of business playing a role in creating a positive future was an idea that was very nascent, but one that was very deeply held by Eric and I. And so what we did is we set out and started the business the only way we knew how, which was we started making lotions and potions in the bathtub. We started driving around to grocery stores in the Bay Area and of California and cornering store managers early in the morning and trying to get them to buy our product. And so what that means is I've been kicked out of every grocery store in the Bay Area. But sooner or later, we were able to finally penetrate those markets, and actually through bringing together this idea of style and substance, which was very representative of what Eric and I were all about, we were able to start to build the business from there. And over the last 13 years, what Method has really demonstrated is that sustainable innovation is really possible through a different approach to product design, where the sustainability of the product is just built into the quality of the product. It's not necessarily its marketing positioning. There's no leaf, there's no planet on the bottle, but it's built into the design of the product itself, and the product itself is about making the sustainable desirable. What that led to is a very rapid phase of growth for our company. So Method went from my apartment to over a $100 million business in about 8 years. And that's faster than PowerBar, Ben & Jerry's, Nike, Snapple, and a lot of other companies. And I think one of the reasons that we were able to grow so quickly was that because our brand kind of shatters the paradigm of marketing green products to green people, we were able to transcend the ordinary universe of green consumers and actually bring a lot more consumers into the fold. What I think is really important about this is that more of this is necessary. So it's nice now that Tom and I together have created the world's largest green cleaning company, but every time I say that or I hear somebody else say that, I kind of laugh because we're still basically the smallest cleaning company, even though the world's largest green cleaning company. The reality is this: green cleaning is 4% of the global cleaning category, 4%. That means for every green cleaner that's purchased by every one of you, there are 19 that are purchased that are not, that are traditional cleaners that don't have the same values as not just our brand, but every brand in the green cleaning space. And while we have a dominant market position in this small segment, I would say as long as this is true, we have failed. And I think this is true of a lot of industries. And so what we're really set out to do with this business combination is to bring about and enable a way of radically innovating and radically accelerating the pace of change towards sustainable innovation in business. It also brings about an opportunity to scale. Ted earlier flashed a slide talking about a consumer segmentation. We do consumer segmentations of our own. And the reality is, I believe that there's no such thing as the green consumer. There is a little bit of green consumer that's very different in every person. And the reality is that you need breadth to be able to serve as well as you can the motivations of each consumer with a myriad of different motivations, consumer usages, consumer attitudes. We have some that are up here. I'm not a marketer, so I don't know why they all have to be alliterative: confident curators and dedicated do-getters and savvy stylists, but apparently that's a rule in marketing. And there's more than just these, but the point is, with two brands focused around one mission, we have the ability to address a much broader audience and bring green to the mainstream rather than what's traditionally been done, which is try to pull all those mainstream consumers towards green, which we can see over the last 30 years hasn't worked. It also gives us an opportunity to innovate. Both Method and Ecover have a strong history of bringing radical innovations to the market. And I'm just going to name a couple and then pass over to Tom to talk about what's really exciting, which is what's ahead of us. One example would be our laundry detergent, the Method laundry detergent. Back in 2003, we actually noticed that the biggest consumer dissatisfier with laundry was the messy cap. And I often talk about the laundry jug as the SUV of the consumer products industry. It's big, it's hefty, it's wasteful, but it's supremely profitable for its makers. And yet nobody had thought about the role of a laundry detergent in the home. And fast forward a bunch of chapters, but our solution to this was a product that was 8 times concentrated, required an entirely new chemistry, where you can just hold it in one hand and squirt 4 pumps into a load and you're done. No mess, no overdosing, no wastefulness, thank you very much. And it actually saves you money because you're not using laundry detergent that you don't need. What's interesting from a sustainability standpoint, the most boring slide I could show you, but the average American household does 300 loads of laundry detergent a year. Doing this super concentrate allowed us to do the world's first laundry refill, which is an 85 load refill that just comes in a little bag. If you can imagine an 85 load refill of a jug laundry detergent, like it wouldn't fit on this podium. And those are some of the resource savings that come with the method system versus any laundry detergent, and that would be green or otherwise, which would take 9 giant jugs. But the real innovation in that product is not necessarily the sustainability savings. It's the fact that we created the world's only one-handed laundry detergent. And what we're creating is a huge swell of consumers that are willing to change their behavior towards an inherently more sustainable format in an industry that hasn't seen innovation in 50 years. A second example would be cleaning wipes. Most people don't know it, but those little cleaning wipes that feel all cottony and soft are actually made out of plastic. There's 165 million pounds of those plastic wipes that are thrown away in the US alone every year. Several years ago, Method pioneered a compostable wipe. Pretty simple idea. That really hit home for me one day when I was walking down a beach in Michigan and I came across this. I looked at it, I looked at the pattern and realized this was a Method wipe that somebody had left on the beach. But being a scientist, I could also tell that this was also in the early stages of biodegradation. So had I left it there, it would have just turned into a part of the beach in a few weeks' time. Of course, Ecover has had an amazing history as well of radical innovation. I think one great example of that is Ecover now grows surfactants from yeast. So rather than just simply replacing detergents that used to come from petroleum with natural substances, they're actually using bioreactors and biosynthesis to create materials that are radically lower in waste footprint, carbon footprint, and their overall environmental impact. And I'm talking by about an order of magnitude or more. And that's just what's been done in the past. As we look forward, what we see is we see formats radically changing. We see categories radically changing, and we see the way that people interact with products, not just cleaning products, but all types of consumer products changing radically in the future. And that's what Tom is going to take us through now.
Okay, thank you, Adam. Is this working now? Yeah, okay, thank you. I'm from Belgium, by the way, so if you wonder where my accent comes from, I'm from Europe, of course, where Ecover originated about 30 years ago, Adam explained. But I have to say that the last year after the merger has been really exciting. And we were competitors before, but I can already feel a lot of love between us, like referring to the previous speaker.
You feel the love.
You feel it?
Yeah.
We had great discussions, and the good thing about it that, because from the outside I think we do look quite different. If you look at our packaging, the way we express ourselves, we do look very different. But if you look on the inside, we found that we were really close, and we found to be good partners in crime, really. And that led to really good discussions. I think we can both challenge each other with new ideas, new views on things. And at the same time, we can support each other on the business we are in and the path we took. And I think one thing that really we have in common is a belief, as Adam just explained, that there is a need for a radical change, a more drastic change, instead of this incremental change that we've seen so far in our industry. And last year, we also took the opportunity to take us through a process to support this kind of more radical innovation. And these are some drawings as a result of that you can see there. And what we did there was use imagination to create a radical roadmap for ourselves, to create a kind of dream for us. What would be the perfect world for Ecover method to live in within 10, 20 years from now? And we started that dream just thinking of stuff that would be really exciting without limiting ourselves completely to what is possible today. So we really took a big step beyond of what is possible today and start dreaming of the perfect solution. And we came up with kind of different scenarios for the future, which is, these are like 4 scenarios, you can read it from left to right. Because we think there's not one solution to sustainability, towards an end goal of sustainability. So it could be like this real. This like a pointer.
There is a pointer on there.
Yeah. Well, okay. All right. That's nice. So this is going from really low-tech situation where you can imagine that people are like growing their own cleaning product in their back garden and exchanging herbs and ingredients with friends and communities, towards these really high-tech washing machines, laundry machines that integrate cleaning products and the act of cleaning in one machine automatically orders refills and has a really precise dosing and almost creates like a self-cleaning situation. So these really extremes you were thinking about and imagining what savings it could bring to the consumer of the future. And out of that dream, we try to create a roadmap to bring it back to reality, to bring it back to where we are today, and to create like a step roadmap towards that ultimate dream we imagine to be in the future. I think the core of that dream is that we as a business, we want to be, instead of being less bad, we want to be restorative. We want to be a business that brings, and just by the act of cleaning, creates even a healthier situation instead of creating a situation that is less unhealthy. So out of that exercise, we define these 4 key areas, which I will touch upon briefly. I'll go a bit deeper into the first one, which is the natural born cleanness, and give you a hint about the 3 other ones, as we are still in the process of refining the whole content of this work. So the first one is natural born cleanness, which is all about making cleaning products as natural as possible. And I know, especially in the US, if I look around, you see a lot of claims about natural products being natural on the shelf. But to tell you the truth, there is no such product on the markets today that is completely natural. There's no such thing that a cleaning product that has been grown as such from like a tree. And what we imagine is really to kind of grow a product instead of making a product. To actually, like you grow a plant, you grow your cleaning product. And that's as natural as you can be. And this is about our belief, our strong belief, and I think it was touched upon also by the first introduction, that with the Industrial Revolution we lost a bit that connection with nature. And I think we need to bring cleaning solutions, need to bring solutions for healthy living that creates that reconnection back. So this kind of our mission with this natural born cleanness is to create that connection with people and planet through our products, and become that brand that is restorative instead of doing less bad. So we started imagining, what if we could indeed grow our products instead of making it? Instead of designing a bottle, we should grow our bottle. Instead of chemically synthesize the ingredients, we should grow our ingredients just as we grow plants. But of course, that's still the dream. That's still, let us say, the faraway future. So we need to bring it back to what can we do today to make steps towards that absolute of the natural born cleanness. And there we define these 5 pillars. I don't know if you can read it from there. But I don't have time to go in all detail. It's really about using nature principles in all aspects of making the product. And we really use, and we believe that only nature can bring us the inspiration to take us that far into the future to create this perfect world. It also our belief that we shouldn't use any fossil fuels anymore, not in our product itself, as not in the process of making the product. So we're in the process of getting rid of all fossil fuels. We're in the process indeed of getting rid of all fossil fuels, both in the product, and I have to say we're almost there, and in 2 years' time we'll be 100% without any fossil input, but also in the process of getting rid of all fossil inputs in our supply chain, which is of course a lot more tricky and challenging as you have to start talking to your suppliers. So we know that's going to take a long time before we'll get there, but at least we have put down a vision that will take us there. The second one then is about also using about this sustainable sourcing. This indeed, because if you replace petrol with plants, you're not always doing a better choice. It can be that the way the plants are being grown using a lot of pesticides. You all know examples of bad agricultural techniques. So we have to make sure that wherever we source from, even if it's natural, it has to be sourced from the right source. And I think also cleaning products should not compete with food. We know we're moving towards 9 billion people. There's going to be a lot of competition for land. So cleaning products, we don't eat them, and I don't think we'll ever eat our cleaning products. I think we should not be competing with food, so we should tap into waste streams, algae sources to make our cleaning products. And the third one there is about using natural processes, and Adam showed one example that we've used so far, which is the fermentation. It's kind of a natural process indeed to grow our surfactants instead of synthesizing it like with the old chemistry. It's about heat, beat, and treat. So where you try to combine molecules with a lot of force, with a lot of heat. We try to create grow molecules in a natural way by using microorganisms to make them. Then this one is about using the product itself, so it's about resourcefulness in usage phase. That means we have to be resourceful with materials we use, with packaging, with the product we use. We have to make sure that consumers don't overuse our product, and I think the method pump system is a great example where you actually start helping people to dose quite exactly instead of overdosing, as still most people do. But it's even about making our product abundant, and finding techniques where our product shouldn't exist anymore. And then the last one is about indeed closing the loop, really. And that's still, I think, crucial to both of our business, that we've always closed the loop both in the bio cycle as in the technical cycle. And it's my firm belief that even if you use natural ingredients or renewable ingredients, even with those ingredients, or packaging, we should try to put them into a technical cycle as much as possible. Again, we don't want to put too much pressure on land, and every nutrition we can reuse and reintegrate a few times, the less pressure we put on resources and on land usage. So then the final vision of this natural bone cleaners is that we create a situation where cleaning becomes the act of making your home more healthy instead of making it less bad. And one way to imagine this indeed is that we start doing cleaning with microorganisms, with good microorganisms. I think we all made the mistake that cleaning is all about killing microorganisms. And I think we should start to nurture microorganisms and good bacteria, because I think we all need a good, healthy balance in our home instead of a clean, sterile environment. Thank you. Then the three other ones, I'll be very brief. This is more about the high-tech possible solutions, and it's about integrating the total chain of cleaning. Because cleaning is not just about the cleaning product, it's about how your textile is looking, it's about how surfaces are being treated, it's about appliances, your washing machine, how well that works. If we start collaborating with all those different partners, we can achieve a much better gain, sustainability gain, than if we just start to focus in our own industry of the washing and cleaning product itself. So we started collaborating with appliance manufacturers like Siemens, Electrolux, with textile manufacturers, with surface manufacturers, to look into at what part of the chain can we start improve things, can we make things a lot more efficient than we have today. Another example indeed is this surface treatment, so we can come to a sort of combination where textiles are easier to clean, so we need less chemicals to clean them, so indeed we start making our product abundant. There's possibilities to just use water and to change the structure and the dynamics of water, so that we don't need any surfactants anymore, that the water is just used to remove dirt without any need for an extra chemical to add there. The system, can be brief on that. This is about moving from this is about changing business models. Because within the cleaning industry, and that's true for everybody currently, we're in the business of selling you more liters, more volume. We want to shy away from that, and we want to look for a business model where we want to sell you less liters, but more a healthy situation. We want to offer you a service of a healthy home instead of bringing you more liters of cleaning products. But it's about a complete shift in business model, so we need to find ways in facilitating that shift towards these kind of new business models where we again make our product abundant. And then the last one, the global one, this is about the change that's already happening, and you see that change within let's say more technical industries being facilitated by 3D printers, where you see where we used to need these really big factories, really large-scale factories to create stuff. We start seeing that coming down to small-scale production units that can handle lots of things. And we were wondering what that change would mean for our industry, the cleaning industry. What would terminology is called distributed manufacturing mean for cleaning industry? So that means instead of having now, like we have now, we're in the process of building our third factory now in the US, or at least starting. We haven't started yet.
Yeah.
Sorry. What would that mean if instead of having a few big factories, we just have really small-scale local factories with like the microbreweries? We also have these in this region. We have microbreweries of our cleaning products, really locally spread across the country and across the world. So we're making kind of case, and that's based on the island of Mallorca, where we're making the case we want to make products for Mallorca just with resources we find on Mallorca, and then preferably waste resources. We're going to tap into citrus waste and see how we can transform that into cleaners, and then just make cleaners from Mallorca, for Mallorca. And we know already that economically it's not going to be viable currently today. But what we want is to learn from that model and eventually come to a model that we can just implement in all regions worldwide to create these small-scale businesses, but with the real in-depth knowledge and the scientific knowledge supported by our two companies and supported by a global company of innovators. That's really a vision we're working on, and in the end, I think what we want to achieve is that we want to be a business that really works in a symbiosis, so really works with nature instead of depleting. Is that the right word? Yeah, depleting. Yeah. Depleting nature, where indeed businesses are working in symbiosis with society, with nature, to create a mutual benefit for each other instead of working against each other. And I'm going to leave the last visionary words to Adam.
All right, which brings us to the point of all of this, which is, what Tom's describing here in what's required of a business and a business model is something that's profoundly different. It's a business that's capable of evolution. And what we're describing really is a business that behaves a lot more like an organism than an organization. What we believe is that business, as the largest and most powerful institution on the planet, not only has the opportunity, but has the onus to lead us towards a better world. But doing so is going to require fundamentally redesigning business from the ground up. If you think about the types of businesses that dominate our economy today, and you think about their scale and their nimbleness, these are not businesses that welcome change. They are market leaders, and inherent in that market leadership position is the desire to maintain it. This breeds a bias against progress, and it's what we believe is holding back business from becoming that force for positive social and environmental change that we believe that our business can now become. And it's also what leads to incrementalism, where you have the specter of progress without real radical progress being made. The hard truth and the brutal reality of all of this is that the business that's committed to sustainability is a business that's committed to change. Because what you must be able to do in order to be committed to sustainability as a business is you have to take what makes you money today and throw it out the window and replace it with something that's far greener, far better, but a lot less certain. And if you think about that, that runs afoul of even the most liberal of shareholder protections. And so what we actually need is a new model for business itself. It's a model that has the ability to metamorphosize itself again and again, to go from selling this to a product to going to sell a service. It adapts, it grows, it evolves. What it really is biomimicry on an organizational level. And it's what we believe is what will allow business to lead us towards a more sustainable and verdant world. Thank you very much.